I want to give you a glimpse into another kind of mind. This is not my mind. This is the mind of the pattern thinker, extreme origami. That praying mantis is made out of a single sheet of folded paper. No cutting, no scotch tape, and what you see in the background there is the folding pattern for making the praying mantis. Now, how do you understand abstract things when I just think in pictures? Well, when I was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, I did the summer camp program. I had to learn the Lord's Prayer, but I had absolutely no idea what it meant. And here is my picture for the power and the glory. We've got a rainbow with an electric tower at the base of the rainbow. All my thinking goes specific examples to create concepts. Everything in teaching in autism, you take specific examples, you shove them in a file folder to make a concept. That is universal. Okay, let's say I want to teach the concept of up. We go up the stairs. A kite goes up in the air. A plane is up in the air. There's a movie called Up because a house went up in the air. You've got to use lots of different specific examples. Otherwise, the concept of up might just stay confined to going up the stairs. You want to teach a kid not to run across the street. Teach him in many different places. Otherwise, he's going to think it just applies to maybe at home. It's bottom-up thinking, not top-down. They think the opposite from the way you think. Everything is learned with specific examples. How about reading comprehension? You got to just explain what it means. Different stories mean to fill up a library of specific examples. That's how the mind works. It's sort of like having an internet and then you got to fill it with web pages. That's why you've got to get these guys out and show them lots of different stuff. And when I was 15, I was afraid to go out to my aunt's ranch. My mother made me go. You got to push them. You got to get them out doing things. But no surprises. Surprises cause absolute panic. But they got to get doing stuff. Play games with categorizing things. You've got to learn concepts such as shape. Okay, pick out the red things. Pick out the rectangular things. Let's make up some new categories. Plastic-containing things. Metal-containing things. You know, teaching categories like this. This will help teach flexibility of thinking. Got to do that. The autistic mind is into details. This is a very common test and you've got big letters made out of little letters. And if you ask the person to pick out the little letters, the autistic mind picks out the little letters faster than the big letters. That's a common scientific finding. And some people think, is autistic learning just memorization and scripting? In the beginning it is. But as you get more information in here, they can rearrange it in different new ways. You know, then you can get more flexible because you've got more categories. One place where people on the spectrum have a problem is making up new categories. So play that game 20 questions. That's a great game. Help teach flexibility of thinking. You know, make number concepts real with things that the child can manipulate. But if you just teach number concepts with these blocks, the kid may not think it applies to anything else. Let's say I want to teach the concept of less and more. Well, I can have a full bottle of water. I can have a half a bottle of water. You know, this pile of candy is bigger than that pile of candy. And you teach these concepts. You want to teach number concepts. You know, you could do it with these little things like this. But if I just do it with these little things, I might think that number concepts only apply to plastic little pieces. You want to count lots of different things. Toy dinosaurs, pencils, pens, Coke bottle caps, just, you know, many, many, many different things. Okay, subtraction. Let's say I've got 5 pieces of candy and I take 2 away and eat them. Then I got 3 left. That's subtraction. Teach fractions by cutting up fruit, cutting up paper circles. Teach fractional amounts. Half a cup of water, a quarter of a cup of water. You know, when I was a little kid, we used to play with all the kitchen stuff. Well, you're learning measuring doing that. And I think it's a shame today the schools have taken out a lot of the hands-on classes because you learn a lot of these concepts in hands-on classes. You know, they've taken out all the home ec, they've taken the sewing out, the cooking out, auto shop, art, music, wood shop, welding, all these kind of things where a lot of these people that kind of have the different kinds of minds can really excel. Now, I am what I do. Having an exciting career gives my life meaning. Now, there's quite a few social circuits not hooked up in me. I'm pure geek. I never really did any dating. I got social relationships through shared interests. And I just read a great little book here about a little girl that really got her life together through chickens and doing 4-H chicken projects. And this is the kind of thing I really like. I got one thing I got to chew you out for. Where is your contact information in this book? This is something that just drives me crazy. You want a busy person to respond back to you? This is phone numbers, email addresses ought to be in there. Maybe you don't want to put your actual street address, but you can at least put email address in there, because I get contacted all the time, and they write stuff. I can't read the writing. The postmark's like marked over it. But the reason why I like that book is because she's talking all about her work with her chickens. One thing I don't like is I've had too many kids come up to me, like 10-year-old kids, and they want to talk about their autism. I'd rather talk about their science project. I work with cattle first. That's the first thing I do. And I'm a PACO instructor. That means I'm an official instructor for training welfare auditors for slaughter plants. And I have to miss the Time Magazine gala in New York so I can go teach animal welfare auditors. And I had to tell the lady yesterday that I was not going to be able to go because I've got to do my real job. And I don't like seeing a little kid getting so hung up on autism that they're not, I'd rather see her get hung up on chickens. And that's what I liked about that book. And that's the kind of book, if it was actually published, I'd give that book an endorsement. Where the ones that go on and on about autism, I probably wouldn't. Now the thing is, you've got other people where more social circuits are hooked up. And they get frustrated on the dating stuff. And if you read this social rules book, Sean and I are quite different. And he got jealous of his dog's social skills. That would have never even crossed my mind. Now, another brain scan that was done on me showed that I was more interested in looking at things than looking at pictures of people. But if you didn't have people interested in things, you wouldn't have all these little cell phones. I mean, social networking and all the teenage kids want to do that. And who do you think made social networking sites? It was the Asperger people that created those sites. Who created the phones with all these phones that everybody likes to use? Well, the people with the Asperger's did that. I got social interaction through shared interests. We've got to get these kids into these different things. And this little girl, she really got into her chickens. And I think that's just wonderful. She was involved in 4-H and chickens, and now she's going to breed some rare breeds. And I think that's a really great thing. The only refuges I had away from teasing were the science lab and riding horses. This is why, you've got to get them into things like drama, electronics, robotics, music, just whatever thing. I mean, I talked to an autistic adult the other day, and all he could talk about was autism. And I found out that he liked singing in the choir. And I said, why don't you go in a nursing home and do some singing with people in a nursing home? I want you to do something. This is an adult in their 50s. I want you to do something that has nothing to do with autism. Okay, and then getting them into classes that really interest them. There's all kinds of great stuff out there, and people say, well, how do I find it? It's called Google, and you type in the name of your state and words like college and different subjects. I can't believe that I get asked this question. I got asked the question one time, how do I find colleges for my kid? It's called, you type the word college and the name of your state into Google. It just sort of blows my mind. One of the things that's really, really, really important is when you got a behavior problem, you got to figure out, is it biology or is it just a behavior reason? Now, the main biological reasons are sensory oversensitivity. If you have a behavior problem every time you go shopping at Walmart, I can tell you that's probably biology. The other thing, if the individual's nonverbal, is a hidden painful medical problem. And you got to sometimes be a good detective to find those. Big number one's acid reflux, gastrointestinal problems. Now, your main behavioral things are frustration because they can't communicate, getting attention or getting out of doing something. And there's a lot of good behavior consultants that can help you out on the behavior side. But I'm seeing an awful lot of people just forgetting about the sensory stuff and the hidden painful medical problems. Okay, here's some severe sensory things we may have to accommodate. Take the kid out before the fire drill is done. There are some individuals that can't tolerate big supermarket. I can't tolerate scratchy clothes. I know these jeans are getting a little bit shabby, but I dread buying new ones. And I don't know, the new vendors now that are making Wrangler are making scratchy, awful ones, and there are differences in the factories. Some kids are terrible at handwriting. Well, get a keyboard. Problems with fluorescent lights, and that's a real issue. That can just wreck a person's school career. I absolutely cannot multitask. I just can't do that, and I can't remember long strings of verbal instructions. Those are two things I can't do even today. And these are things you often have to do at entry-level jobs, but you don't have to do at professional-level jobs. My 50s upbringing really helped me. I am appalled at some of the disgusting behavior of some really smart kids and adults on the spectrum. Eating mashed potatoes with their hands, combing their hair with their fork, pulling merchandise off the shelf in a store and throwing it on the floor. This is all stuff I've observed at conferences and at other times. And going, there's no excuse for that. Autism is not an excuse for throwing merchandise on the floor at a store. Just isn't. I was taught turn-taking. I was originally taught turn-taking when I was very little with the Parcheesi board. But then we got to teach it other activities. Take turns with different toys. When you're splitting up the juice, you don't drink more than you split it up evenly. That's part of turn-taking. Being on time was pounded into me. At a very young age, by the time I was 6 or 7 years old, I was setting an alarm clock and getting up. Doing things that please other people. Like making a piece of artwork that pleases somebody else. And I want to emphasize, if the kid's bad, you never take away artwork or math or something like that. You take away video games and TV and just idle, stupid computer use. Saying please and thank you, and when I made a mistake, let's say I forgot to say please, Mother would say, you forgot. This is where 50s upbringing really helped. Where are all the old Aspies? I can tell you most of them are employed because they had enough manners pounded into them. And being rude, what's being rude? How did I learn the concept of being rude? Well, belching is rude. Pushing in line at the movie theater is rude. Saying that somebody is, got a big pimple on their nose, that's rude. You see, these specific examples get put into the rude file folder. Table manners, eating with your mouth open's rude. Picking your nose at the table's really rude. You can just make a whole list of things. Another thing that was really important for me was there was absolute consistent discipline between home and school. This is where the teacher and the parent, you've got to have the same rules in both places. And if the parent and the school are constantly fighting, that's a very bad situation. Now, I think being eccentric's fine, but you just can't be an absolute slob. And I'm seeing too many people. I saw a guy in his 30s show up at a meeting in California with stubble and really sloppy. And I said, why didn't you shave before you came here? I said, well, you either got to shave or you got to grow a beard. One or the other. I don't care which one you do, but you got to do one or the other. Eccentric's acceptable, being dirty and rude is not, and don't try to take the geek out of the geek. And there is Shane of Big Bang Theory. And when you go out to Silicon Valley, there's a lot of grown-up Shanes walking around there wearing the exact same kind of shirts, wearing the long-sleeve shirt with the other T-shirt on top, and they're a little plumper, and they're very, very, very successful. And the thing that worries me is what's happened to Shane Jr. I'm seeing too many of them, and they walk up to me at a conference or headed down a handicap route, and I don't like that. And then I'm also seeing people where they're doing well professionally, but they're doing problems with, they might have a very, very good career, but they're having problems with their social life or with their family life. And what I recommend to those people is go to the meetings, read the books. It's going to give you a lot of insight. If you're gainfully employed, I probably wouldn't want to get the Asperger's on your medical records because it's trashed quite a bit of medical insurance for a number of people. I hate to say it, not nice. When I moved out to Colorado, I could not get medical insurance until I went on on a group plan with the National Association of the Self-Employed, which when you get older gets expensive.